Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.
What's going on, ASAP fam? We'll get that intro right. It's okay. This is our NFL season prediction show. Um, I'm joined by my good friend, my homie. I call him Chi-Town Mike, host of Mike on the Mic, Mike Hughes. Mike, welcome to the show, man.
Man, I appreciate you having me, Greg. It's always a blast talking some Red Kingdom.
Yes, indeed. And so those that are new to the show, every Labor Day, I do a season prediction show. Okay, so we go through each division. We give who's going to win, and then we'll give our wild cards, and then we give our Super Bowl picks. Who we think is gonna make it. So let us start off with, since Mike is our guest, we're gonna start in his neck of the woods, the NFC North. So Mike, I'll let you have at it first. Who do you have winning the NFC North?
Man, it was an interesting offseason, one for the books, if I had to say so. I think a lot of teams got better. I think a lot of teams got worse. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, for the first time since I was like 3 years old, isn't in the NFC North. So it's anybody's game right now. I love what the Vikings did. I love what the Detroit Lions did. But after the Chicago Bears added Yannick Ngakoue as a little bit more of a pass rusher, got DeMarcus Walker, got a whole new defense, got DJ Moore and company. I'm giving it to the Bears. And you know what? There's going to be a bunch of people saying he's biased. Yeah, I am. And for the first time in a long time, I can confidently say that I think this team has a shot at winning the division. I still have questions about Dan Campbell. I still have questions about Kirk Cousins. Um, I don't have many questions about Justin Fields. I've watched Justin a lot. I think we have the defense to back it up now, the pass rushing to back it up now. I mean, last year alone, Greg, I told you about it all year long. We had 6.5 sacks as a defense, and 4.5 were from our safety. Add in a new defensive line with guys who combined from last year have over 15. Justin Fields was averaging 30 points a game for a while. We were still losing those games. Like, if we can hold it down, I think the Bears are my pick for NFC North.
Okay. This one was very hard because you have kind of talked me into thinking the Bears are really, really going to be good this year. So I was like, man, maybe.
If you go different, it's okay. I'm not mad at you. I want you to know it's okay.
But then my mind was like, well, the Vikings still have Justin Jefferson over there. So even though they don't have Dalvin Cook anymore, I always say this: when it comes to Kirk Cousins, he's a really good regular season quarterback.
Yeah.
Not so much in the playoffs. So I feel like they're going to win just enough games to win the North. So I'm going to go with the Vikings to win the North. Now, if the Vikings defense is still trash, then the Bears are going to definitely have a chance of winning. But I'm gonna go with the Vikings to win the North.
Yeah, I don't hate that, bro. I mean, they and to that point, you got Justin Jefferson, you lose Dalvin Cook, but they added Jordan Addison, who I still think is one or two at the best wide receiver out of this year's draft class. Him and Jackson Smith and Jigba are absolutely incredible. So I'm excited to see both of those guys. You still got TJ Hawkinson, which pissed me off to my core to why the Lions traded him into the division, which just made no sense to me. And it's like I didn't understand it, but I still don't. But I definitely I think that's the beauty of understanding what the sport is and understanding hey, I think the Bears are going to be good, but I also see Justin Jefferson is the best, potentially the best overall player in the NFL, arguably. But I still think that's your boy Patty. But I think you have that conversation. He's wide receiver 1 all day long. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I'm optimistic. So I had to give you that right there.
All right, so Mike has the Bears winning the North. I have the Minnesota Vikings. Let's go now to NFC South, where anybody and their brother can win this division. Mike, I'll start off with you again on the South. Who do you have winning?
I wanted to say Atlanta really bad. I think Atlanta's kind of the sleeper team, and we get into the wild cards a little bit later. I'll elaborate more on that. But I wanted to say them very bad. I think they have a young core. I like what I'm seeing. But at the end of the day, what I do see from the Saints that's been desperately needed the last few years, and the Saints have been a 500 football team, mind you. They're not getting a top 5, top 10 draft pick any year. You haven't seen them do it. So I think it's going to be interesting, but I'm going to give it to the Saints. I think adding Derek Carr was very important. Obviously add in Jamal Williams, who is my favorite running back in the league, and I was so happy he's out of the Lions organization. And I wanted him as a Bear so bad, but it's okay. It's okay. But having 17 touchdowns last year, I think he's going to be great in the red zone. Alvin Kamara only getting a 3-game suspension, I think is very pivotal too. Chris Olave, I want to say Michael Thomas, but I'm just gonna, you know how that is. But I guess if he shows up, cool. If not, it is what it is. I haven't seen that guy run a route in I don't know how long. So, but their defense is still top notch, and I think experience is going to be key there. So adding Derek Carr to that mix, I had to give it to him.
Yeah, this was kind of a hard one because, like I said, there's not really a team that's really like, oh yeah, that's the team that's the best out of everybody. But I went with the Saints. Those that have known me long enough know I am not a fan of Derek Carr at all. But I just feel like everybody else, Bryce Young, rookie, Baker Mayfield, we don't know what we're going to get from him.
Mm-hmm.
Ritter with the Falcons, we don't know what we're going to get from him. So the only thing I can really bank on is, okay, I can at least I know Derek Carr is going to be average, maybe above average. I mean, and that's all you really have to be to win the South. So I went with the Saints. I almost said Panthers. I really did.
Don't do that.
I almost said
Don't do that. I got their draft pick. Don't do that.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna be the worst team in the league. I'm gonna get the number 1 pick next year too.
There it is.
I can't have them doing well. I can't. I'm praying on their downfall.
Can't have them doing. So I picked the Saints to win the NFC South. Moving on to NFC East. I will go first on this one here. I know everybody's saying, well, the Cowboys have the best defense. It's a top 10 defense. And look, it could very well end up being that. But there are going to be some games where you need your quarterback to make plays. He's got to. Just ask the 49ers when they had Jimmy G. There were times where, hey, we need our quarterback to do something, and he couldn't do it. And that's why they don't have no Super Bowl rings.
Right.
So I think that's going to be the same thing with Dallas. So as good as their defense could be this season, I still have the Eagles winning the NFC East. Um, Jalen Hurts, that offensive line is one of the best lines. Um, them and the Chiefs are 1 and 2 as far as who has the best line in football, but they can run it. Jalen Hurts was better at passing last season. So I think that continues on, and the Eagles win the NFC East.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I mean, it's not a it's not a hot take anymore. Last year I know you picked him, and it was like, oh hey,
Yep.
there's a shot. You got to see how Jalen Hurts develops, and that's kind of where I'm at right now with Justin Fields. Is we got all the weapons now. I just need you to kind of put it on the board, and now Jalen Hurts has been solidified as one of the better quarterbacks in this league and one of the best quarterbacks in this league. So it's going to be really exciting to see what happens with that. And I also don't want anybody sleeping on that Eagles defense either. I think they're a juggernaut as well. They do amazing things. And what I liked the most was the small additions that they had. I think they brought in a couple of secondary players that are going to make big roles and big time plays. DeAndre Swift, who is 10 times better than Miles Sanders ever was, or Byron Scott, or any of these guys, Gainwell. Respect to them, but the reality was when you have a running back by committee, you really don't have a running back more times than not. So, and every down back, DeAndre Swift is that. The only problem is his health, and sometimes it's his decision making. But when you're with the Detroit Lions organization, it's really hard to kind of develop and make good decisions because you're always freaking out because the offensive line just can't hang up. So to that point, having the number one off one or two offensive line in the league, I think is going to help guys like DeAndre Swift a lot, not only in the pass game but in the rushing game. Jalen Hurts, I think you see somewhat of a step back. And what I mean by that is kind of just like there's going to be teams that are now aware of Jalen Hurts. It's gonna be a lot harder. But I don't think it's going to change anything on the scoreboard. I don't think from a stat sheet it's going to change anything. But I think he's going to have a rough time. But I think at the same time he could have an MVP season as well. So he's one of those guys that you believe in. He's one of those guys that you heard him after the Super Bowl loss. Like it's just going to fuel him to be better. So you can kind of feed into that. Sometimes you can hear people say that and be like, he doesn't mean anything by that. But when I heard Jalen Hurts say that, I was like, you know what, like that guy's built a little different. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they have. I also have the Eagles for that. So I see Micah Parsons. I see everybody else in the Dallas organization. Respect to him. I see Thibodeau and the Giants, and that's cool. I'm not a Daniel Jones believer, so I don't care. I'm a Brian Dable believer, but I'm not a
Right.
Daniel Jones believer. So yeah, I just have to rock out with the Eagles on that one.
Yeah. And we all know how the Dallas hype train goes during the regular season. They start off fast, everybody's going to jump on it, but we know better. We know better. We know that when it comes playoff time, they're going to drop the ball.
More times than not, yeah. I'm not a Mike McCarthy fan either. From being a Bears fan, as long as I was, I watched the Bears just demolish his offense. I don't believe in it. Tony Pollard, man, we talked about Tony and breaking his fibula. Like, what's Tony Pollard gonna look like? I'm curious to see how his leg holds up. Not wishing anything down on him, but it's the reality of a lot of situations. As a running back, just broke his leg. Like I'm smiling, but it's no joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's the situation they're in right now, and it's like they kind of got to see. I understand he looks pretty decent right now, and he looks like he's healing very well, but you never know.
yeah. I mean, it takes a couple years to get fully back from that injury. So we'll see how it goes for him. It didn't work with Zeke. Zeke got the contract and he got fat and he he didn't run with the same force like he did before he got the money. So they end up letting him go. But yeah, I mean, Cowboys are going to be the Cowboys. It'll probably look good during the regular season, but during the playoffs, we know. We know what's going to happen. Looking for all the Cowboys fans come January,
100%.
like always. Let's go now to the. Oh, this one was easy for me. This I took less time on this one. I'm gonna go with the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy. I know it's just a small sample size and it wasn't a full season, but when he was out there, he looked great.
Mhm.
If he doesn't get hurt in that championship game with the Eagles, maybe it turns out different. I mean, who knows? But
Yeah.
he's good. I don't think he's all of a sudden going to fall off a cliff and he's going to be horrible. So I trust Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in the NFC West, so they have the best defense. So I'm gonna go with them to keep it rolling out there and win end up winning the West.
Yeah, for sure. I have them as well. I think Seattle made some noise. I'm really excited to see
Oh, yeah.
Gino, JSN, DK, Kenneth Walker, and obviously Tyler Lockett. I think it's going to be really exciting. But to name those guys, you also have to name guys like Debo Samuel and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk and even guys like Elijah Mitchell. Brock Purdy has the world at his dispense right now. And I think he can literally do whatever he wants to do. And I'm excited to see him. I've seen him play before when a couple trips I made down to Iowa. Didn't know he'd end up being Brock Purdy. Just thought I was watching a bullshit Iowa State game, but just never thought in a million years. I even had to look up the game I went to, and I was like, oh, that was Brock. You know what I mean? Like you don't know. You don't know these guys are going to turn into who they are, but Mr. Irrelevant turning into potentially a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. It's going to be exciting, and I think really just their confidence in him getting Trey Lance out of the building is just that skyrockets, man, because it's like that kid's breathing down your neck more times than not, and you obviously have Jimmy G breathing down your neck, and now you're going into this season like, hey, Sam's a backup, he's not fighting for any role. We make that clear. Kyle Shanahan, obviously, a genius offensive minded guy who can't finish, but he's a genius offensive minded guy, and hopefully, he's able to finish at some point during his career because I'd love to see him hoisting a Super Bowl championship. But I look at that and say, you lost to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, so you can't be too mad about it.
Right.
It's not like you lost to a bunch of scrubs, but you get to the dance, and I think it's going to be exciting to see what potentially happens with them. I think the sky is the limit. I think injuries are just going to be what like I take into account a lot with Brock, with CMC, with obviously Debo and Kittle. Like they're big names, but they're also guys who miss some time. So I think for the 49ers, it's a cakewalk, especially you and I were talking about it the other day about a hamstring injury by Cooper Cup right now. I mean, we see how that impacts guys like Keenan Allen all year last year. It's nothing to play with, especially for a wide receiver. So what are the Rams going to look like? I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know the Rams aren't the only team that do this, but
Right.
when you don't play your starters a whole preseason, I'm not a big fan of that.
Neither.
uh, I think they need to be out there getting some, reps, and so I see the Rams starting off slow, but
Or injured. That's
that's
my reason I don't like guys not playing. You're gonna go out there, and these guys have been playing for the last month, and you just showed up and thought. Like I remember Matt Nagy did that with the Bears back in 2019. He was like, "Oh, we're good. All we needed was a kicker. We looked awful, and we did awful." And it was like, man, bro, like you didn't take this seriously. And I will say this too. I forgot to mention. I checked out the Rams defense just looking at names. Outside of Aaron Donald and a couple other guys, I mean, it just plummeted. I don't know if I could swear on here, but it just took a huge
yeah, crap.
Dude's a huge crapper, man. I mean, I was
Yeah.
just like, man, this was like a juggernaut defense like 2 years ago, and now they're all gone.
Yep. Yep. They've started over basically, and the Rams are kind of running to the same situation. You know, Chris Jones has, of course, been in the news for holding out. He wants more money. The Rams gave Aaron Donald the more money a couple years ago. They got the
Right.
Super Bowl out of it,
Yeah.
but you see the repercussions now
Yeah.
of that. So
Mhm.
that's why I always tell people you have to understand people want their money, and hey, definitely get that, but you have to be smart as well. So
Yeah.
just throwing that out there. So that is the NFC side. We went through the four division winners. Let's go now to the AFC side and each division, and then we'll hit the wild cards here after that. AFC North. This division, I think, is going to be really good. Mike, I'll let you start first on this one. Who's winning the AFC North this season?
I'm always rocking with Joe Shiesty. Jamar Chase won me my first fantasy football league ever back in 2021. So I got to rock out with the kid again. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. I love these guys, man. And really being able to pick the mind out of Joe, their defensive coordinator. You really understand that he will take a veteran and get the best out of them. He will take an average guy and get them slightly above average. And I really like the way they move. They don't have huge names on that defensive line. They don't have huge names on that defense at all. They got a couple, but more times than not, it's just a relatively quiet defense. But they work. They work in sync. They work in harmony. They do amazing things. Joe Shiesty. I mean, can I say enough about the guy? I mean, Joe Burrow is an absolute dog. I think he's the second best quarterback in this league, and it's definitely one of those conversations where you're top two, and there's an argument that you're not two. You know what I mean? Like, there's people who think he might be the best quarterback in this league. Now, that's a whole different conversation for a different day, and I'm probably talking to the wrong guy about that. But I definitely think there's a conversation between the rivalry that is in the AFC between him and Patrick Mahomes. And we used to always talk about, and we're getting into that in a little while, but we used to talk about it was going to be Mahomes and Allen, Mahomes and Allen. That's what
Yeah,
everybody fed us.
yeah.
That was the narrative. They tried to feed us Justin Herbert. They tried to feed us all these other guys, Lamar Jackson. The list goes on. Now they're feeding us Tua. But Joe Burrow shows us every single playoffs that they're not going anywhere. So I got to give it to him. I mean, we talked about Justin Jefferson to why you had the Vikings.
Yes.
Let's talk about Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? Like, Jamar Chase is undoubtedly, if not first, the second best wide receiver in this league.
Yes. Yes. He's definitely, yeah, top two for sure.
He's not two, Greg.
Well, wherever you want.
Nah, I'll play. He's two. Yeah, I'm gonna have all the Vikings fans going crazy. He's definitely two. I gotta respect Jettas.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson. Yeah,
Never saw Jettas go to the Super Bowl, but whatever.
Man, AFC North. I'm gonna sound like I'm hating on the Bengals.
Do it, Greg. Do it.
Maybe
Greg.
I am. I'm not sure. They had a lot to say after we beat them in the AFC Championship, but but we will see them New Year's Eve. So everything that was said will be dealt with. But for the North, I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens, and here's why. If Odell Beckham Jr. can be 70% of what he was with the Rams, I feel like that'll be enough. Lamar staying healthy is definitely a big factor. if he stays healthy, then I can definitely see the Ravens winning the North. Um, I feel like he has. I feel like he has a big chip on his shoulder this year as well. Because when you say, "Well, who are your top 5 quarterbacks?" Lamar Jackson doesn't get said, and there's a reason for that.
Right.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, and so I feel like he's got something to prove this season, and you know, Odell being there, and Mark Andrews, who's another great tight end. He doesn't get as much fanfare as Kittle and Kelsey does, but
Right.
but he's still a good tight end there. So they have weapons. Um, Harbaugh is a great coach as well. So I know everybody's going to roll with the Bengals, and how could you not? They got Joey B. They got all those weapons. But they lost some people on defense that I think they're going to miss, especially as the season goes on. So I have the Ravens winning the North.
Yeah, I don't hate that. That was my big thing, was just like Odell not playing. Odell tearing his ACL twice, the same ACL in a span of 1 year, pretty much. Not playing last year. Lamar misses games, whether he has a stomach virus or whether he just gets injured. I feel like every year he gets a stomach virus. And I don't laugh about it because I feel them. Like, I get it. Like, those are the worst. But I always feel like he gets like sick, or he gets the injury bug, or something happens, or he gets nicked. And it sucks. He gets nicked on the shoulder, he gets nicked on the knee, whatever it may be. Mark Andrews gets nicked as well. He gets little nicks here and there. I think it's just tough for me. I got my guy over there, Roquan Smith, doing amazing things as the linebacker leader, but I definitely think there's a lot of questions. I don't hate it though. I think Zay Flowers is amazing as well. Rashad Bateman being that wide receiver 3 next to Odell and Flowers, I think is going to be interesting. Flowers is one of those guys that could be one of the best wide receivers in this class. So, I said that about a few guys, but it's a really good class for wide receiver rookies. I don't hate it, Greg. I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah. Zay Flowers was almost a Chief.
Crap, Greg.
It was definitely, it was talked about.
Keep rocking with Tony, bro. Keep rocking with Instagram Tony.
So Zay was almost a Chief, but he got picked by Baltimore. Frankie, what's good, my man? Thank you for watching. Man, Frankie. Foxborough, Frankie. All right, so let's go now to the AFC South. This one was somewhat easy for me. I know the Tennessee Titans, they have D-Hop now, and Henry, and everybody thinks that's going to be great. Maybe it can, but I don't trust Ryan Tannehill.
I don't trust any of them. Malik,
that's just bottom line, man. Yeah, like, as good as a coach as Mike Vrabel is, especially on the defensive side, when you don't have a quarterback that you can kind of lean on to win games, it makes it hard. And so Tennessee doesn't have that. Jacksonville, I feel like they have that now. Trevor Lawrence, them winning that playoff game, I know that was more of the Chargers being the Chargers. As Chiefs fans, we know how that goes with the Chargers. They're always going to do something and to make them lose. And that's what happened in that playoff game. And but still at the same time, Trevor Lawrence made plays to win that game.
Yeah.
And even the next round when they lost to the Chiefs, Trevor Lawrence still played well to me. And if it wasn't for a turnover there late, who knows what would have happened, in that one. Because Chiefs only ended up winning 27-17. But I feel like the Jags are on the rise. They could definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the AFC title game at all this season. So I'm gonna roll with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval, Duval, and they're gonna win the AFC South there. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I picked them right away, and I think I picked them as soon as I knew that the Calvin Ridley experience was going to be great. Experiment, I should say.
Yep.
Calvin Ridley being back, I feel like is so pivotal for them because that was really in that Chiefs game what they were lacking was that dominant number one wide receiver, that X factor that he could target. You got guys like Evan Ingram who have kind of rejuvenated themselves and look really good. Christian Kirk paid like a wide receiver one. He didn't have a bad year whatsoever, but I'm really excited to see him in that number 2 spot, and then you finally get to see the connection between Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley, which I think could be one of the best connections in football this year, at least in the AFC. I really do. I mean, besides obviously Mahomes and Kelsey, or Burrow and Chase, like this is going to be one of those conversations because I think a lot of people forget who Calvin Ridley was. When Matt Ryan was actually a serviceable quarterback, and he's been with Marcus Mariota and he's been with all these other guys. And it's like, Matt Ryan was the guy and they looked great together when he was still on top. So, you forget about him because he obviously gambles and gets suspended a year, but what oddly enough, he gambled on a Jaguars game before he got like, I'm not even kidding. I found that out and I was like, okay.
Wow.
And then the Jaguars were like, well, obviously he wants to be here. So
yeah, he wants to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously he's following us. So, but yeah, and then obviously, before I became a Tennessee Volunteers fan, I was a Clemson Tigers fan, and the only reason for that was Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence. Those guys had my heart. Those guys were the guys that I always watched alongside Jonathan Taylor in Wisconsin and obviously Justin Fields at Ohio State. Those were my guys from my graduating class. So I got to watch those guys a lot. I mean, absolutely incredible players. They've won a championship together. They've played in big-time playoff games with Dabo Swinney and company in Clemson, doing their thing. So I think when you already have that camaraderie, when you already have that experience on top of the defense that they're building, I think it's going to be a beautiful thing for Doug Peterson and company to really – and on top of that, Doug Peterson, I think, is one of the biggest X factors of that as well. You won a fucking Super Bowl. Sorry, Greg. You won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Like, what do we – and you beat Tom Brady. Like, that's insane. I wish he's the Bears coach. But, it's definitely something that I think is going to speak volumes throughout the season. Greg, I made it 34 minutes. I didn't swear. I almost did it.
That was good. You did. Hey.
I almost did it, Greg. I'm so proud of you.
You did good. You did good, Mike. It's all good.
It was Nick Foles. It was Nick Foles that got me, Greg. I have traumatic experiences from Nick Foles. I was told I was getting a Super Bowl MVP, and I didn't get that.
Good old Nick. He had that one magical season, and that was it.
And he went to Chicago and just stole money for 2 years.
Stole money. Yes, he did. But I definitely feel you. Doug Peterson, aka Dougie P, is what we call him here in KC. He's a great play caller, and he learned from the best. And Andy, and so they're in. Trevor Lawrence is in great hands, and they are building something good there.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be surprised if they are in the AFC title game this season.
Could you I know we're gonna have Super Bowl conversations later, but I don't think either of us have the Jaguars. No spoilers, but I don't think we have.
No.
But could you see that happening this year? Could they be the Eagles of last year, or do you think it's a little premature?
It's possible. The only thing is the AFC is harder than the NFC
by
as of
a
now.
country
Yeah,
mile.
yeah. So in order for them to get to the Super Bowl, they have to beat Burrow and Mahomes.
Right. Greg, I was talking about this the other day, man. And I was like, man, you just look if you were like a defense, if you were a defensive player and you're trying to go to the Super Bowl, you're trying to win a playoff game. I'm like, dude, I'm going to the NFC
No,
because
NFC.
like I was thinking about it and I was like, all right. So you look at the AFC, you got Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, who is the furthest on that list, and he's a Super Bowl or he's a MVP. And then you obviously have guys like Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, all these other guys that we're naming. And it's like, then I look at the NFC and it's like Derek Carr and Jalen Hurts. And then
Yep.
after that, it's like, well, and Derek Carr isn't even like that. You know what I mean? Like he's just there by committee. And it's like Brock Purdy and Justin Fields and Jared Goff. And I'm just like, AFC's cracked. The AFC isn't. It's like, remember how the East and the West used to be in the NBA?
Yes.
I was like, man, it's just every year it's just the West, the West, the West, the West. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the AFC is the harder conference, and it's going to be that for the next 7 to 10 years because of the quarterbacks. And that's why it's hard. That's why if the dominance of the Chiefs continues on throughout the years, which I think it will, it makes that right. It makes it bigger because you got to beat Joe Burrow and Josh Allen every year just to get to the Super Bowl. Like,
and now we just threw in Aaron Rodgers into the mix.
And now Aaron Rodgers is there. Exactly. So it makes it the AFC is very hard. It's very hard. Yeah, for sure. So whoever makes it out of the AFC, they're always going to be more battle tested than whoever comes out of the NFC.
Yep.
And you kind of saw that in last year's Super Bowl where the Eagles started off hot. It was looking real good. But because the Chiefs were so battle tested throughout the season, that ended up being the difference in that game to where they could stay patient and not get rattled by being down early.
Yeah, for sure.
AFC East now. Everybody wants to say it's the Jets division now because they have somebody there.
We don't talk about him.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I know you don't.
See ya, dude. See ya. Hey, good luck, Greg.
You're right.
Ruined my childhood for the last 15 years.
All right. Hey, just we all had one. John Elway ruined mine when I was growing up. So
yep, I hate him. Can't stand Aaron.
Yeah. So the Jets are the favorite. Let's just be honest about it to win the East. So I'll let you start off first on this one, Mike. AFC East, who do you have?
Man, I didn't even write anything down because I was sitting there and I was like, so many different ways this can go. I want to say the Bills just because of what history's shown me and what I know they can do. But I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm actually going to give it to the Dolphins. And I think because of the Stephon Diggs situation, because of that defense kind of taking a step back, them losing a few guys and kind of just not starting to question Josh Allen, but just kind of see with Brian Dable gone, that offense looked a lot different last year. And I think it's going to continue to look different. And I think that's where a lot of frustration is with guys like Stephon Diggs, where it's like, you were the X factor. You were everything. They don't have a legitimate run game. Cooks looks okay. I don't think he's anything special. Josh Allen obviously runs the ball a lot, but I think they're going to be, to get to our wild card conversation later, I think they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to be a team that I definitely mention later on. But I look at the Miami Dolphins, and the reason I give it to them over teams like the Bills, I think at some point the Bills team, they've been in the conversation for a while. And unlike the Chiefs, you're starting to see frustration rather than success. When you see Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey holding up the trophy, it's like there's nothing to be mad about. But when I look at them and I say Chiefs are winning Super Bowls with Juju as their number one wide receiver, and you have Stephon Diggs and you can't get over the hump, and I think that's gonna just start being a toll, and I think it's gonna be harder and harder to play deep into a season and then not have any results to show for it. So I'm gonna give it to Miami. I think they're the fresher team. I still, as much as I like the Jets, because I do like the Jets, I still think there are things they need to work out. There are conversations about guys maturing, guys getting better, guys developing. They have some holes. I like this Miami defense, especially after adding Bradley Chubb. You have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you have a rookie running back and Mostert to be the veteran running back there. I think it's really going to come down to Tua, because we saw Tua last year when he was on the field. He was a top 5 quarterback in this league. That's not blowing smoke up anybody's butt. That's a statistical fact. He had one of the highest QBRs when he's on the field. If he can't, kind of like your Ravens take, if he can stay on the field, if everybody's healthy, I think Mike McDaniel is on to something. And kind of that same conversation you had about Kyle Shanahan and Doug Peterson and guys who learn from the best. You're having another conversation about a guy like Mike McDaniel who learned from Kyle Shanahan. So that's just going to continue on. The only guy that never really worked out for was Matt Nagy. But, it's whatever. It is what it is, man. Yeah, Super Bowl champion, Matt Nagy. Get out of here. But I like Miami, man. I think they're my sleeper pick just to make the conversation a little spicy. I want to say the Bills. If the Bills make it, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I said they weren't. You know what I mean? But I think sometimes you just don't know what to expect out of a brand new team. And when you see a team like Miami fully complete, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. That is a good pick. The AFC East was hard. I'm not gonna lie. You can see each team kind of doing something.
Except the Pats. Sorry, Frankie.
Except the Pats. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sorry, Frankie.
Well, yeah. Sorry, Frankie, on that one. Look. Bill is a good enough coach. They're going to be in every game, and they'll hang in there towards the end of the season. But they just don't have the quarterback unless Mac Jones all of a sudden he becomes top 10 quarterback, and we didn't see it.
See, I think they do have the quarterback, Greg. I really do. I think he's in the right system. I think they have everything they need. They don't really have anything around them. To be quite honest, I mean, they got the Schneikes on their feet, bro. That's about it. Like there's no wide receiver room. There's nothing to be really proud of. I mean, you brought in Zeke, and Stevenson is a great running back. It's top 10 running back in my opinion. But you can't just bleed off of that. You got to put points on the board. I believe Stevenson can get you to the red zone.
Yeah.
But are you going to be able to score when you're in there? And I think that's really the idea is like, what are we going to do? Not as in we as me, but we as in the Patriots. Like, what are we going to do when we get into the red zone? Because Hunter Henry is getting older. You don't have guys that you could really count on. You bring in Juju, and Greg, explain to me how important Juju was to the Chiefs organization. Not very. You know what I mean? Like
he
got a holding call, Greg.
As the season went on, it went. He did well.
He got a holding call. That was it, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, he got that, but when we needed him, it was like, hey, it's third down. Let Juju run this little crossing route real quick. He was good at that. But was he the number one option for Patrick? No. It's always going to be Kelsey. Right. But was he a good number 2? Yes, he was.
For sure.
He was a good second.
I think that's the problem is they don't have a Kelsey. You know what I mean? They don't have a number 1. So you kind of just have a bunch of number 2s and number 3s. Devontae Parker, guys like that. Like, I just don't think it's enough.
Yeah. It's not enough weapons for Mac. And that's why I didn't go with New England to win the East. I did go with the Bills. The reason why I still, even though Aaron Rodgers is there, I still feel like Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is good during the regular season. Yes, we all know this. In the playoffs, he's not. But we'll save that for later. um, so with the Bills, Josh Allen is still there. Diggs is still there. I know I know he has kind of 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in. If the Bills do start off slow, like 1-3 or so, I could see it kind of crumbling, but I don't think they're going to start off slow. But this is the last dance as far as the Buffalo Bills, as far as how they're constructed.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, this is it for them. So
I'd say McDermott's probably on the hot seat too, I would say.
Yeah. So if they don't get to AFC Championship or if they don't go to the Super Bowl, it's going to be some changes there. And so we'll see how it shakes out. But I do have them winning the AFC East. I still think they're the best team in the East. I know what the Jets got. It's Rodgers, it's Sauce, it's Wilson, it's all this, and it looks good on Hard Knocks and all of that. But I still think the Bills will be 1 game better than the Jets this season. And of course, we save the best for last, everybody. The AFC West. Everybody know my pick, so go ahead, Mike. You go ahead and start us off.
Oh, yeah. I think the Denver Broncos are crazy. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna give it to the Chiefs. Again, it's one of those things where, like my Miami pick, I think I could be optimistic. But I really don't see I didn't see the Chargers really make that move. I didn't really see things pan out the way they would have liked it to. Especially with adding in guys like Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson and all these other, bringing back Derwin James. That's great moves. But offensively, I haven't really seen them thread that needle. I think Keenan Allen being back could change that. Austin Eckler's been great. Obviously, they got Mike Williams. Justin Herbert's looking amazing. He's a great quarterback. But I'm going to give it to Patrick Mahomes and those boys because they just understand what they're doing. I don't believe as much as I would love Chris Jones to somehow fall into Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears' lap. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to end up staying with the Chiefs. And I think they get off to a slow start just because I think they're still figuring out some things, but especially with the Chris Jones situation. But I think they know how to finish, and that's really what they're great at. So I say Chiefs.
Oh, yes. The Chiefs have won the AFC West 7 straight years. That continues on. This will be year number 8. As y'all have, everybody knows the Chris Jones drama that's going on. I just feel like eventually he is going to play, whether it's week 1 or he said he'll stay out till week 8, whichever way it ends up going. I think he will be playing for the Chiefs sometime this season. Will it be with a new contract? Probably. Me knowing Brett Veach the way that I do and how these usually go, there's no bend there. So once he has a number, he says, hey, this is the number, this is it, that is it.
Same thing happened to Tariq.
Yeah, so that's just how he rolls, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love it. He is one of, if not the best general managers in football to me.
Whoa. My guy Ryan Poles is doing it.
Oh, Ryan Poles. Yeah,
Ryan Poles is doing it. Listen, GM of the year. Watch.
Ryan Poles is doing good.
Kansas City product. Came from KC.
Yeah, definitely. So, but I do have the Chiefs winning the West. again. It'll be the eighth straight season. All right. So now our wild cards, NFC. Mike, you can go ahead and start us off with that.
Yeah. You want me to just do all three?
Yeah. You go ahead and do all
Yeah.
three. Yeah.
So pretty much, listen, it's very biased. But it's just as deep as I think this conference is going to be. Especially this division. I have the Lions, the Vikings, and then obviously I'm going to throw in the Falcons. I think the Cowboys miss it. I really do. I think they don't have enough from what I've seen. I want to throw in the Cowboys, but I think what the Lions added, Jameer Gibbs, adding a better defense, adding a better offensive line, after they get their suspensions over with the gamblers of the room. I think they're going to be even better when they have that wide receiver group come back. Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown and company. Jared Goff, who not great, but statistically, like Kirk Cousins, is a regular season guy. You've seen him in a Super Bowl before. They can definitely mold him to being that. Not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, but a guy who can take you there. You know what I mean? He's not going to hurt you. He's not a Mitchell Trubisky. But then the Vikings adding Jordan Addison and company. I think they lost a couple of defensive players, but Greg, tell me how worried you are about Chris Jones not being there. At the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, you know what I mean? Like, offense is going to be what takes you there, especially in the regular season. I'm not now in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs. If Chris Jones isn't there, that's an issue.
Yes,
But
yes.
with Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson, Jordan Addison and company, Madison and all these guys, I think Kirk Cousins will be in a good spot. And to that point I made earlier for my final pick, Atlanta just being who Atlanta is, a very young team. They remind me so much of a lower version of this of a Cincinnati Bengals team. I see Kyle Pitts as being that X factor. I see Drake London. Obviously, Bijan Robinson is an animal. And then obviously you look at that offensive line getting better, and I'm excited to see what Ritter looks like. I think there's a good opportunity for him there. I watched a lot of him at Cincinnati. Um, him and Tyler Skye had a great connection. He's a Bears wide receiver. But I think it's going to be interesting to see all these toys he has now that are elite talent. So, and they still have Cordell Patterson, a former Bear. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. In all seriousness, I think Atlanta sneaks in as the third spot.
All right. Those are some interesting. Yeah. So you have Falcons,
Vikings, and Lions.
And Lions.
Because I got the Bears winning the division, so that's
right. That's right.
You say it again, Greg. Come on.
Yeah. Mike has the Bears winning the North. Yes. Oh wow. Okay. Those are some. Those are some good picks. Some good picks. Mine are a little bit different.
Hit me with it, Greg.
All right, my wild cards for the NFC. Yeah, we know Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones and all of that, but Saquon is healthy again, and Giants, they get in as a wild card. I think Brian Daboll has set the foundation there good enough to where everyone has bought into the system there, and I think that is going to work out. Again, if Saquon stays healthy all year, then the Giants, yes.
They added your guy in the West too. They added Darren Waller as a big X factor, so if he can stay healthy too.
Yeah, they did. They do have Darren Waller, so
that's their receiver.
Yeah. Dan Jones has some throw too.
They really don't have a wide receiver still, and that's something I've noticed. But Darren Waller, it's kind of like Kelce. I got to keep that same energy, Greg. Like, I don't really look at Tony or any of those guys and say those are legit wide receivers, but I look at Travis Kelce, I say that's an X factor. I look at Darren Waller, I say if he's healthy and not obviously having the off the field issues that he has at times, I think the sky's the limit for him.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I have the Giants as a wild card. I'm gonna go ahead and make Dallas fans happy. Cowboys are a wild card.
Who?
Cowboys are a wild card. They'll get bounced like they always do, but they will be a wild card. That's good. Look, you can't ignore how good that defense is.
Yeah, they're
So,
phenomenal.
yeah, so that's gonna be enough to get them in. Dak is gonna be Dak. Some days he's gonna look really good. It's like, oh, he's turned the corner. And then some games gonna look really bad. Like, oh no, he still sucks. So that's just the up and down of Dak Prescott. But even with that, just on their defense alone, I'm gonna have Dallas as a wild card. Um, and then all Cowboys will get mad when they lose in the playoffs again. And then,
Yes,
then
sir.
my, yeah, then my last wild card, Mike talked me into it. The Chicago Bears will be in the playoffs.
Come on, Greg.
I think Justin Fields, DJ Moore, that's gonna be an awesome duo. Their defense is going to be good this season. So their offensive line, it can't be worse than what it was last year.
Man.
So anything that's better than that, I think that'll be good enough to get them 10, 11 wins possibly.
I could respect it. I
You know, I want to make it clear. I don't have the Bears beating the Chiefs at Arrowhead week 3. I don't have that. But
listen, we beat y'all last year. Last year.
Yeah, preseason.
Don't say that. Hey, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Greg.
Yeah. But I do have the Bears being a wild card as well. So Giants, Cowboys, Bears, those are my NFC wild cards. Mike, you had the Lions, Vikings, and Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
That's your NFC wild card. So right. AFC wild cards. I'll go ahead and start us off on this one. Those that watch Red Kingdom throughout the season, y'all know the saying, the Chargers be charging. The Chargers are the Cowboys of the AFC. All that stuff is true, right? But they still have a very good team. And Justin Herbert, I feel like he is. If you don't want to put him in the top 5, he's definitely a top 10 QB. So that alone, I think would be enough to get them in. As we talk with the Cowboys, Dak is going to be Dak. Well, Chargers, Brandon Staley going to be Brandon Staley. It's just what it is. Thank God Sean Payton did not go to the Chargers. I want to thank the Chargers for keeping Brandon Staley and not firing him and bringing in Sean. Thank y'all for that. I thank y'all for that. So, but Chargers still the team as it is. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler is still there as well. So I have them as one of the wild cards. The Bengals are my other wild card. It's Joe Burrow. It's Chase, Higgins, it's Boyd. They're loaded on the offensive side. As long as everybody stays healthy, they're going to win their 10, 11, 12 games. And I have them in as a wild card. Again, it's all about matchups, who they'll see in the playoffs and all that. If they are to meet Patrick in the playoffs for a third straight season. But I have them as a wild card. And my last wild card, let's go ahead and make all the Jets fans happy. The Jets finally make the playoffs. They get bounced in the first round, but they make it. They make it. I have the Jets making it. They are talented. Aaron Rodgers, he'll have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be kind of ticked off, so he's going to play well during the season. Wilson is going to be great. Sauce is going to be Sauce. So I have the Jets in as a wild card. They make it, but we all know how Aaron Rodgers is in January. So take that as you will. So now we get to our Super Bowl picks. I'm interested in what Mike has on the. Oh, I'm sorry. We did do your AFC wild card. I'm sorry.
Oh,
so
right.
what are your wild cards in the AFC?
I'm excited about those Super Bowl picks, so I'll make mine quick.
Okay.
I've switched this like a million times.
Okay.
But work with me. All right, hear me out. So I have the Dolphins winning the West or the West. East? The East.
Yeah, the East,
So sorry. I'm learning. It's not my conference. I don't know. But so with that, I have to still respect Josh Allen and what the Bills do. I have the Bills as my number one wild card spot. Very tough. Very tough. I just had it's my gamble of the year having Miami. Number two, got to give it to the Jets. Got to give it to Aaron Rodgers. I know he's a bad mother effer. I know that guy very well. Garrett Wilson, offensive rookie of the year last year.
Yes.
Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, all these other aspects. Literally everybody from the Green Bay Packers has joined that team. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I like Robert Saleh a lot as a defensive-minded guy, and when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you can just focus on the defense. You don't have to worry about what your quarterback is doing. Now, if Zach Wilson's at any point playing in meaningful games, it's going to be a problem because he still doesn't look great, but it's even good for that matter. But I think Aaron Rodgers understands what he's doing, and they're going to be a very good complementary to each other. So I have the Bills, the Jets. The last one was tough because I'm with you on the Ravens. I do think Lamar has a chip on his shoulder. But sometimes you got to go after a complete roster. And I think that to me was the Chargers. I look at Khalil Mack. I look at J.C. Jackson, Derwin James, Joey Bosa. All these guys they have on that defense, they're absolute animals. And getting Keenan Allen back, who is a 1,000-plus yard receiver, every single year of his career, I believe, other than last season, which so is Mike Evans. But by the way, Baker's going to be the first guy to ever ruin that. But it's gonna be interesting to see what Justin Herbert can develop into by the end of this season. I think he has MVP caliber talent in him. With Austin Eckler kind of emerging as a superstar back now, he's kind of entered his prime. Not kind of, he has entered his prime. And I'm excited to see what the rest of them have. They have a solid tight end core. Again, it's going to come down to coaching, but I think because of your roster, it's going to be good enough to get to the dance. Now, what you end up doing, if you're a wallflower, if you just leave, or whatever ends up happening, is up to them at the end of the day. But I think they're good enough to get there. A sleeper that I had, a couple sleepers, just two of them. Not going to get into it because it doesn't matter. But obviously, the Ravens being one of them. Big time Lamar guy. And then I want to throw in the Broncos. I want people to remember the Broncos. I want people to remember who Russell Wilson is. You throw in Jerry Jeudy, who's healthy. You throw in Javonte Williams, who's healthy. And Sean Payton. I think it definitely should be looked at as a team that could potentially sneak their way in. But I'm going to give it to right now. Bills, Jets, Ravens. Or Bills, Jets, Chargers. Sorry.
All right. I like those. Yes, those are. I believe those will be the teams that'll make it as well. So our Super Bowl picks. Mike, I'll let you start us off. Who will be in Vegas?
I was going to tell you to start it off, Greg. I'm excited to hear what you got to say. I'm
I'm
excited to hear what Greg's got to say.
All right, so this is I'm trying to remember. Ooh, Lord.
Remember, everybody listening. It is September 2nd.
Yeah.
So chill out. Don't play this back in December. I don't want anybody flipping it. These are way too early Super Bowl predictions.
Too early Super Bowl picks. All All right, Super Bowl 58. Um, in Vegas, I believe the two teams that will be there, it will be the Kansas City Chiefs looking to cement themselves as the next dynasty
It would
against the San Francisco 49ers.
rematch.
I know everybody's going to say Eagles, Eagles, Eagles. And man, I almost did. But
Nah.
I just feel like just going off of last year, remember Brock Purdy got injured in that first quarter of that
Mhm.
NFC Championship game last year. So I'm still questioning. I'm like, okay, if he would have played the whole game, would it have been different? And so this go around, if they see each other again, and Brock Purdy stays healthy for all four quarters, we'll see what happens with it. Then uh, uh, who gets the number one seed and all that? If it's at Philly, then of course Philly's going to have the edge. If it's at San Francisco, okay, they get an edge there. So, but I have Chiefs Niners. That is the Super Bowl matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs winning it all. The third Super Bowl in 5 seasons and submit themselves as the next dynasty in the NFL.
I like it. Nice little rematch there, Greg. I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. Oh man, for me, I spent a lot of time thinking about this one, and I'm with you for the NFC. I think Brock Purdy is showing that he's a winner, and there's very small tape to base it off of. There's very small film to have conversations about who he's going to be the next 5 to 10 years. But
Yeah.
with the roster that's currently constructed, with the defense that's currently constructed, I think they can rally around him. And unlike Trey Lance, unlike Jimmy G, I don't think, I'll even be, let you know that my crap stinks too. Like the Mitchell Trubisky's of the world. You have a number one defense. You have all the weapons. Sometimes guys just hold you back, and guys like
Yeah.
that hold you back. So did Matt Nagy, but that's different conversation. But Super Bowl champion Matt Nagy. I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
but I think with Brock, he kind of excels and he kind of looks better than he really is because of these guys. But he's making plays, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. You're making plays. Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, and then you look at guys like Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, all these other guys. I mean, we got two Iowa boys here. One's Iowa State, one's Iowa University, and obviously Kittle and Purdy. But you see what they can do. The other Bosa brother on the other end, you have you have Warner, and all these other guys. I mean, it's absolutely incredible to see what the 49ers have been able to do. So I'm excited to see them going there again. Kyle Shanahan trying to get that lick in, trying to get that Super Bowl championship. Tired of blowing leads, tired of messing it up. I think he's definitely going to do whatever he can to get there. And then for the AFC, I rock with you, Greg. You know I rock with you, and I know you love when people count your boys out, so I'm going to count them out. I'm going to say, and this is the beauty of this rivalry and the beauty of what I think is going to happen throughout the next 5 to 10 years or even further. I think it's always just going to alternate between the Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. And this go around, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Joe Burrow just has something to prove. You have to think about it. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow are all going to be free agents by the end of this season. You have that conversation with yourself and you say they're going to have their fifth-year options, of course, but you need to at some point figure out when the window closes and when a new one is going to open. And I don't think they're ready to close this one. I think they want to win a chip with this core group. I respectfully, I don't see a world where all three of them coexist, where T. Higgins wanting money, Jamar Chase wanting to be the highest paid wide receiver, Joe Burrow going to be the highest paid quarterback. I don't think Joe's been paid yet, if I'm not mistaken. But you have those conversations and you say, we need to win this right now. So I think Burrowhead is in for a treat this year. Not to say it is Burrowhead, because Kelsey obviously made it known. But yeah, I love that. But know your role and shut your mouth, man.
There
But
it is.
Then you're a jabroni. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to rock out with Joe Burrow this time. And then I think it's just going to be Joe Burrow versus Brock Purdy. And I think this is Joe Burrow's first Super Bowl championship. I think it will go down as him beating that 49ers defense, that super powered offense. And I think that's what's going to make him and Patrick Mahomes one of the great ones.
Yeah, and that could very well happen. The Bengals are kind of coming up on the same thing as the Buffalo Bills are, where the last dance is coming.
On the way.
It's coming.
I think for the Bills, it's here. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, it's here.
It's right here, right now, in front of your face.
Yeah. So with the Bengals, they're going to have to figure out how they're going to dwell their money out next season. So that's where this is where general managers, they either make it or they end up getting fired 3-4 years down the line, because you have to spend your money out wisely.
Right. You have to sustain success, 100%.
Exactly. And I just feel like Brett Veach is the best doing that right now for the Chiefs. It may, on the outside, it may look like he's penny pinching and, just go ahead and give people the money that they want.
And he is, and that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But this is the way he wants to do it is let's be wise.
It's working for him.
Yeah, and it's working out. So, and we'll see. Hopefully Chris Jones does play this season and, doesn't hold out for as long as he's saying. But we will see how that goes. But,
listen, Greg, I got a couple of first-round picks if you want them. It's up to you.
Yeah, that was a rumor actually here that the Bears were wanting to give away some draft. And I was like, well, if they got 2 number ones, we can go ahead and have a conversation.
Yeah.
We can have a conversation because at the end of the day, as good as Chris Jones is, there's also he's about to turn 30 here. The decline is going to come as well. And
for guys like that, it comes very quick.
Exactly. So, that's another factor in this as well. Yeah. He's wanting a 4-year deal, $30 million per year, and it's like, yeah, it sounds good and everything, but I need you to still be getting 15.5 sacks in year 3 and 4.
Right.
If we're going to be
Bears, I mean, we got all the money in the world right now. We're cool.
Yeah, the Bears have a lot.
Okay, no problem. Because the thing with them is like why that conversation is even happening. Because Ryan Poles is the same way. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. Like, Ryan Poles has learned a lot in Kansas City. And that's why I love him so much. Is like he's exactly who Matt Nagy thought he was. Like Ryan actually learned from the general managers. And I think like Roquan Smith just got paid highest linebacker of all time. Ryan Poles, when he came into Chicago, said, no effing way. We're trading round pick. Like, it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like, we'd rather have DJ Moore.
Yeah.
We'd rather have all these other guys. So I like that they do that. It's interesting. See how their minds work. I think it's gonna be a good time though.
Oh yeah. This season is gonna be awesome. So Mike has the Bengals and the Niners in the Super Bowl, with Joey B and the Bengals winning the Super Bowl. I have the Chiefs and the 49ers, with Kansas City winning it all again, going back to back in 3 out of 5 seasons. Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to be on. Go ahead and shout out your social medias where everybody can find you.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's always a blast. It's my first time really being on your show. So it's different. It's a vibe. I love rocking with my guy Greg on the ASAP network. You can check me and everybody else, and Greg included, on the All Sports All Plays network. We got college football on today. We got NFL football in less than 7 days, which is going to be very exciting. You can find me on all social medias: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter mainly, at the shy.kid. It's just the shy, the THECHI you can check me out there all the time. You can also follow Greg on TikTok as well at the G Report. He's doing his thing over there. But Greg, I appreciate you having me on, bro. It was a blast.
Yes, it was. And this won't be the last time you see Mike on the G Report or on Red Kingdom, because Chiefs do play the Bears week 3. So
I'll see you there.
we'll be seeing each other.
No, I'm the winner as of right now. I won a preseason game. It was a win. It was a valid win. You don't take it away from me, but I'm coming for the real one.
Going for the real one. That is the I guess we'll call it the Matt Nagy Bowl, or what we're gonna call
You
it.
beat Matt Nagy, dude. We don't even need to. He's calling plays now, right?
Yeah, he's the offensive
We
coordinator.
don't even need to win the game. We just need to defensively just make him look awful, and that's all I ask. That's all I want. I know Eddie Jackson's fiending right now.
If it looks bad in that first quarter, I'm sure Andy is gonna be like, okay, I'm doing the plays the rest of the
I'm surprised you even let him do it. I honestly am. I bet you he's just holding the clipboard that Andy wrote.
Well, how it was the year before Matt Nagy went to the Bears. Nagy was the OC.
And how'd that go?
They went to the playoffs and they lost to Marcus Mariota in the playoffs. But that season, it was actually Andy Reid that was calling most of the plays. Actually, it wasn't really Matt Nagy doing everything. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same way.
Probably.
This
I would hope for your sake.
This girl now, Matt Nagy is very good at talking with Pat. Hey, what did you see out there?
I watched that quarterback show with Mahomes.
Yeah.
Nagy literally just stood by him. Hey man, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on?
Like Pat did not care. There was nothing. He was teaching Pat. Pat was like, dude, I'm a Super Bowl champion and an MVP. Stop talking to me. Like, no. He's got nothing for him. He's like, you ruined Trubisky's career, bro. You tried to ruin Fields' career. Like, get out of here.
Oh man. Yeah. That's what we wanted. We wanted the hey, how's it going type offensive coordinator, and we have that now. So
well, you can keep him.
Yeah, we will see how it turns out. Josh, thanks for hanging out with us, my man. Josh. So we will have our Red Kingdom pregame show special on Thursday. It'll be 5:30. Kickoff between the Chiefs and Lions is at 7:20. We'll preview the matchup with the Lions, the keys to the game for the Kansas City Chiefs as they start their journey to become the first team since the Patriots in 03 and 04 to win back-to-back Super Bowl championships. And we are done. Any final thoughts, Mike, before we roll out?
Nothing, baby. Just bear down. That's all I got.
All right. Bear down. Again, Mike has the Bears winning the North. And we will be seeing the Bears at Arrowhead in week number 3. It's going to be a awesome game. That's gonna be a good game. I look forward to that matchup, certainly. And we thank y'all for watching the G Report, episode number 122, our NFL season prediction show. Have a good rest of the Labor Day weekend, and we will catch y'all next time. Peace.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports.